with the Senate now a step closer to ending the government shutdown, there still remains the issue of air travel. Almost 2,000 flights have been canceled today. There are more than 6,000 delays. Some are from weather, but many of them are air traffic control staffing problems. The FAA still plans to further reduce the number of flights this week. Last Friday, they started a 4% reduction, which goes up to 6% tomorrow and possibly to 10% on Friday. This morning, President Trump called, it's a nice way to put it, for all air traffic controllers to get back to work now. He put that in all caps, 3 exclamation points. And he says that those who don't go back to work will be, quote, substantially docked. We should underscore that there is legislation that says federal employees will get paid in the event of a shutdown. I want to bring in CNN aviation correspondent Pete Muntean. Pete, it's always great to see you, although your beat has been, there's been a lot of misery lately. What have travelers been experiencing today?
Well, you know, today has been another tough day, and the head of the Union of Air Traffic Controllers didn't mince words about that and the president's post on Truth Social. He underscores that controllers are not calling out sick in protest, but rather for legitimate reasons, like due to the added financial stress of working without pay for 6 weeks. A controller just got another $0 paycheck. In fact, it comes in tomorrow. So not really a surprise that the list of spots short on controllers continues to grow. Today alone, we've seen about 36 air traffic control facilities having reported staffing problems. That includes the control towers at Chicago O'Hare, Dallas Fort Worth, also Phoenix Sky Harbor. Those are major hubs for American Airlines. You can also add the towers at San Francisco and LAX to the list. This is all on the heels of the worst weekend for air traffic control staffing shortages since the shutdown began. The FAA reported roughly 150 shortages at 50 different FAA facilities, all the way from Anchorage to San Juan. And that pushed the list of cancellations up and up. 1,500 Saturday, then nearly double that on Sunday, making that the 4th worst day for flight cancellations since the start of last year. Today not looking good either. More than 2,300 cancellations and 6,000 delays for all reasons, not just staffing shortages. I want you to listen now to the chief of the Union of Controllers, Nick Daniels, responding to President Trump's post, which said that controllers who called out sick should up and quit. Listen.
We'll work with the administration on any issues that are out there. Air traffic controllers have continued to show up during this shutdown. They've endured the longest shutdown in American history, and every single day they absolutely not only deserve their pay, they deserve to be recognized for what's going on.
Not good to invite controllers to quit when there's always a major shortage. Daniels also added that controllers are not pawns, political pawns in this shutdown game. Tomorrow, the Trump administration's ramping up its mandate for airlines to cancel flights preemptively. It's calling for airlines to cancel 6% of flights at 40 busy airports starting tomorrow. That number jumps to 10% on Friday if this shutdown continues. Just yesterday, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy told our Jake Tapper that controllers are quitting at a faster clip due to this shutdown, and that agency remains more than 1,000 controllers short, meaning that when this shutdown ends, the staffing issues will still persist, Casey.
Seems like a disaster. Pete Muntean, thank you very much for your reporting, sir. Much appreciated. All right, our panel has returned. So what is it, Kate Bedingfield, that you think pushed Democrats to say, uncle, basically, like enough with this shutdown? Is it the flights? Is it something else?
I think if you look at the 8 who negotiated, I think the impact of the shutdown was really tangible in Virginia. I think that really drove Kaine, and Kaine I think has been very vocal about that. I think the increased pressure on SNAP, and I think continuing to see, I think Democrats looked at, or this group of Democrats looked at the Trump White House going to the Supreme Court and saying we're going to fight to prevent people from getting SNAP, and instead of taking the lesson that I might argue they maybe should have taken from it, they sort of said, okay, we're looking at actual people across the country who are going to be hurt. Not saying they shouldn't have taken that lesson. That didn't come out quite the right way. But they used it as a moment to say, okay, this is having a real tangible impact on people, and that sort of caused them to hesitate.
Making a distinction between the politics of it,
yes,
sorry, and the actual
impact. Very inarticulately. So thank you for clarifying that for me. Yes. But I think that I think that the flights also had an impact too. You're starting to look as we roll into the Thanksgiving holiday. You see people increasingly frustrated, and so I think the combination of those things. But I would not say that this was I think Democrats really make a mistake if they define this as caving, crying uncle.
100%.
I do not think that
That's
this
the
is
part I don't understand.
I
This is
do
what
not
happened.
understand. I
happened.
do not understand for the life of me.
Yes.
I have seen this on social media. I see it here with all the representatives and senators coming on and just rushing to stab themselves in the face. I find it
Right.
mystifying.
As Donald
I
Trump
find
might
it
say,
mystifying.
it's a loser mentality.
Right.
It's mystifying. I understand. Listen, what they think they're
They're
doing
just
is they're
listening
trying to
the Twitter commentators?
No, what they're trying to do is message to their base who are angry, and they're trying to say, look, we are still ready to, fight, and this was taken away from us. I just think it's the wrong tactic to take at this point. Because at the end of the day, they're real Americans who are not on social media, who are not the ones yammering in their ears, who actually wanted this to end. And they can say, hey, we're the ones who are willing to take the fall for this because we care about you.
I think there's a and I know very little about the Democratic Party, so I'm not going to claim to be, but it feels like as an outside observer, there's a brush fire going on there. And they're getting more and more people thrown in because they're trying to appease a base that doesn't want to be appeased. And they're getting further and further to the left to try to appease this base that just doesn't want to be appeased. Republicans went through this. We went through this for the Freedom Caucus, supremely disruptive. I was at Citizens United at the time. We helped create the Freedom Caucus that ultimately just created headaches for us. And so we know
Appreciate
what,
that honesty,
yeah.
Brian.
So you've seen
It
the
is
movie.
what it is. I've seen this movie. I'm seeing it replay again. But what you see from that, at least I think a good thing for the Republican Party, was a reaction that led to Trump, to a disruptive figure coming in and sort of shaking apart the party, giving it a backbone, giving it to do something, fight, even if fighting sometimes doesn't make sense. Maybe that's where the Democratic Party goes after this. But I'm just watching as an observer, watching this brush fire spread.
But I also think if you look at Tuesday, when you look at Mikey Sherrill, you look at Abigail Spanberger, I mean, these are moderate Democrats who I would argue are the model who will be successful in a lot of these swing districts, purple states in 2026 and then beyond as we go into the presidential. So there's no question there's energy in the base of the Democratic Party. They want to see a fight. But I don't know that I would argue that necessarily means that, from a policy perspective, the party is going to veer hard left. I actually think the success in the party, you're seeing that in the Spanbergers and the Sherrills.
Well, I was just going to say, look who overperformed Kamala Harris. Moderates like Abigail Spanberger and Mikey Sherrill. Look who underperformed Kamala Harris, a progressive socialist like Zohran Mamdani. Yeah. So the point is that the adult in the room voter, right? And Democrats have been campaigning as, hey, we're not going to always play pot. You have to live by that if you're actually campaigning for it, that, hey, Democrats are saying he's only looking out for his interests or his governance. You've got to actually, at a moment, hey, I'm willing not to listen to my base every once in a while to do this. I think in the long term, these guys have done the party a favor, but the real problem is they have no leader. Bill Clinton and Barack Obama would be messaging this as a win, not a loss. Yeah. And Lulu, you're 100% right.
Yeah, and the only thing I'll say is that I wish everyone wouldn't mistake moderates for having a lack of ideas and defending the status quo. Unfortunately, I think that has now become some kind of weird conflation here, where it's like moderates mean, that they're some kind of like Biden clone. What the Democratic Party needs is people with fresh ideas who push it forward. It doesn't mean that it has to come from the socialist or the far left wing of the party, but it definitely cannot be, we are defending the status quo, we're going back to what it was before. And I think that unfortunately, is something that they still haven't learned.